Our conversations with local candidates continues now with Duval County School Board District 5 candidate Hank Rogers. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, District 5 serves Springfield, it serves the Eastside, Riverside, Murray Hill, Avondale, San Marco, and Paxon. It is a wide ranging district with wide ranging needs. How do you describe District 5 to other people, and why do you want to represent it?
Well, District 5 is probably the most diverse district of all the districts in Duval County. And I would be honored to serve as the next representative for District 5 because over the last 25 years, I have done nothing but do the work and show up. And so I have worked with our students, I have worked with our administrators, I have worked with the school districts to really help push the issues that's most important to the constituents of District 5. And so I will continue to do what I have always done, and that's ensure every student receive a high quality education in which they deserve.
So, what are the issues given that we're talking about a really diverse district?
Correct. So it varies when you, and the top issue of the day, of course, is school closures. And in District 5, we have many schools that are unfortunately on the chopping block, right? When you look at Fishware, when you look at John Stockton, when you look at Ortega, many of those schools, unfortunately, are on the list. And
Yeah,
so,
we've got a list here that shows Biltmore, Carver Elementary, Samuel Hull Elementary, Hyde Grove Early Learning Center, Hidden Oaks
absolutely,
Elementary, Thomas Jefferson Elementary, Annie Morgan Elementary, Rufus Payne, Pinedale, Reynolds Lane. Now, we should say that those are on a proposed list.
proposed. It's proposed,
Yeah.
right? So it's definitely a proposed list. But as I have traveled, the it has been consistent, regardless of what side of town in District 5. And that's this: they want to keep their neighborhood schools open, and we have to fight for that. And that's what I'll fight for. Do Duval County Public Schools have some challenges based on budgets? And me being having served on the half-cent sales tax as the chair, I see the challenges that Duval County schools face. But at the end of the day, we have to figure out a way in which we are going to keep those schools open. When you take a look at Fishway Elementary, amazing art program there at Fishway Elementary. If you take a look at John Stockton, the Gates program, we have amazing programs in all of our schools. We have to figure out a way, how do we market those schools better as charter schools and private schools are doing, because they do an aggressive job in marketing their schools. We have to do the same thing in Duval County Public Schools. Of course, gone are the days where the neighborhood schools are your number one choice because there's competition. And so at this current time, we have to market our schools better. And I'll work with the superintendent and our board to ensure that we do that. I believe that if we do that, we'll win our families back, we'll win our students back into Duval County Public Schools. Uh,
We're talking to Hank Rogers. He can take your calls and questions. He's running for the District 5 Duval County School Board race, which could be decided August 20th
August
at the
20th.
primary. You can reach us at 904-549-2937, or you can email us at firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. What do you think is the story of Duval County schools that you would try to tell better in terms of competing with private schools or charter schools?
Well, Duval County Public Schools have a plethora of options in our buildings, and I'm proud of what we offer. If you go to, if it's AP programs, early college, dual enrollment, the arts, medical, you name it, we have it in our schools. We just have to do a better job of telling what's in the building. People just don't know what's inside. And so we have to do a much better job of really telling the story of what's happening behind the walls. And if we do a better job of doing that, I think again we're going to win our families back. We're not doing a good job of telling the stories. So if I say all the time, if a parent wants their child in the arts, well, we know that they can go to Lavella, Douglas, Anderson, Fort Caroline. If they want them in the medical magnet, we know they can go to Darnell Cookman. We know that they can go to Venetia, which is the elementary school. So we have to do a better job of letting our families know what's in the building, and so that they can make an informed choice.
So, Hank Rogers, you are running for the seat that is currently held by Warren Jones, and he's term limited. You're running against Reggie Blunt, who appeared on this program July 17th, and Nishan Nix, who appeared on the program on July 25th. Those interviews are at the First Coast Connect website. How do you differentiate yourself from the other two candidates in this race?
It's clear. It's a clear choice. At the end of the day, I have been laser focused since I've been in Jacksonville over 25 years on one goal, and that's to ensure that we do right by children. I have been doing this work for a very long time. I ran 8 years ago for this very same seat against the incumbent Warren Jones. It was an open seat then, and I have not veered away from the goal and my passion of serving kids and their families. I have not run for any other position as they have. Um, these same issues have come up that we talk about for years under Dr. Vitti. We had these same
Former
issues.
superintendent.
Former superintendent, Dr. Nikolai Vitti. They were not at the table. I have always been at the table. And so what distinguished me is I have been laser focused on one goal, and that's to help move our school district forward, help increase the graduation rate, help ensure that our students move on to post-secondary um, career choices. I have worked collaboratively with Warren Jones, who I'm honored to have his support, and others, Dr. Green, former superintendent, and many others, because they have seen me in action, and I continue to do what's best for our children.
So you mentioned you did run for this seat in 2016. Tell us a little bit about yourself personally. You work currently for Amistar Foundation, but what's your background?
Sure. So, came to Jacksonville again over 25 years ago to attend the University of North Florida, where I was honored to serve as the student body president. Also served as a student body trustee member there. Upon graduating with a bachelor's degree in public administration, I transitioned um, to the Florida House of Representatives, working with many of our lawmakers. Senate Bill 6 was the defining moment for me in Tallahassee. Senate Bill 6 took away teacher tenure in the state of Florida. And a lot of teachers union came to Tallahassee advocating and lobbying for that particular bill. And the teachers union challenged me at that time and said to me, Hank, you don't understand. You don't understand what we're facing on the ground level. And they challenged me to go in the classroom for 2 months and sub. And so that's what I did. I became a substitute teacher. After those 2 months ended, they came back to me and said, you still don't understand. You don't understand when students are uh, taking tests and they're bubbling in anything, they don't, you don't get it. And so that 2 months turned into 2.5 years of me subbing and advocating for our students. And then I got a call from Betty Seabrook Burney, who was starting the I'm a Star Foundation.
Betty Burney, who's also a former school board member.
Absolutely. And so with my numerous numbers of advocacy, she called me and said, hey, I'm starting a foundation. Would you join me in this work? I agreed for 1 year. I have been with the I'm a Star Foundation for 13 years,
Mm.
and now I'm honored to serve as the Chief Operations Officer of our foundation.
Some of the issues that we again and again are asking these candidates have to do with culture issues that have become predominant in a lot of ways at school board meetings. Things like removing books from bookshelves, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and education around that topic. What is your position on either of those issues?
I'm against it. I'm against banning the books. I was in a bookstore. Actually, Representative Angie Nixon just opened up an amazing bookstore there on the north side. And I
State Rep
witnessed
Angie Nixon.
State
Yeah.
Representative Angie Nixon. And I was in the bookstore, and a local teacher came to deliver and donate books that she can no longer have in the classroom. That should not be the case. And so I'm against that. As it relates to DEI, we have some amazing programs in Duval County Public Schools. I will list one that bothers me. Uh, Duval County Public School, with a partnership with JPEF, the Jacksonville Public Education Fund, created the UNOS and the ONES program project to get more African American males and Hispanic males into our classrooms. And because of
As teachers.
teachers,
Yeah.
teachers, the goal is to have 1,000 of them by 2025. And because of the laws and because of what's taking place in Tallahassee, that program unfortunately is being eliminated or have to go away. That should not be the case. Our students should see individuals that look like them in our classrooms. And I saw individuals who look like me in the classroom, and they should have that same opportunity. And so I'm against uh, eliminating DEI programs, not just in our local public schools, but we're seeing the same thing in our universities as well. And so that does concern me.
We're talking to Hank Rogers. He is the District 5 school board candidate for Duval County Public Schools. That election is coming up in just a few weeks,
It is.
August 20th. If you have questions for him, you can reach us on air at 904-549-2937, or you can email us at firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. In terms of being at those meetings, that's part of the job. It's a big part of the job, and they are often contentious
Absolutely.
around these very issues. How do you manage disputes, and how do you think you would work with people who have very different views than you on the school board?
For me, is what I have always done, and that's collaborate, compromise, and sit at the table and build relationships and get to understand all sides of the issue to make an informed decision. And so that's what I'll do. I'll turn around, and we may not always agree on an issue, but I'm going to hear you out. I'm going to hear your opinion. I'm going to hear your side. And I hope that you do the same so that we can compromise and really form, at the end of the day, good policy, because that's what it's about. And I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, for me, is about making sure that we're doing right by children. We're laser focused and putting them at the forefront. And that's what I'll do. I'll make sure that our conversations and what we do is putting our children at the forefront. And I think if we do that, we can move this district forward.
There's some issues, though, particularly on DEI type initiatives, that there doesn't seem like there's a great deal of room for compromise. How do you find that middle ground if you're talking to someone that says we're not going to be teaching those programs in the classroom, or, for instance, we're going to be teaching a modified curriculum around African American history, to ensure that people who are in the classroom don't feel uncomfortable when they hear that history. What is the middle ground that you would be comfortable with if you're talking to people who have those different views?
Well, again, my take on that and my position on that would be very clear. Is really understanding there are certain things that I won't, and I'll be honest, I won't compromise on. We have to teach true and accurate history. We have to. That's fair to our students. We should not eliminate that. And I hope the other side would agree with that. We have done that for years and century. Now, because some individuals and some groups feel um, a certain type of way, they want to eliminate that. But we have to come to the table and make sure that certain things, and that's a non-negotiable for me. So with non-negotiables, while I'm willing to compromise with some things, I'm not willing to move the needle on, and I hope the other side would see that as well. It has benefited our students over the last, I don't know how many years.
Counseling is also an issue that you've raised in your platform, something that you want to focus on, and it is also an issue that has become divisive. There are activists who believe that the role of a counselor should be limited or constrained in some ways if that information is not being shared with an adult, um, and are working to pull back on what's available because of those concerns that parents are not being included in those conversations about their child's mental health. Where do you stand on that issue?
So I'm assuming you're talking about my mental health support,
Mhm.
expanding mental health support, and I'm a big believer in mental health in our schools. I always say we have to deal with their mental in order for us to teach them. Our students are coming to school with many issues, and we have to address those issues. But in addressing those issues, we have to be about the business as well, and making sure that we have wraparound services, not just for our students, but for the families. There's trauma that take place. And so, as I used to tell my students all the time, what you share with me will be between us until it gets to a point where it's harmful to you. Then I will have no other choice but to share that with the experts to make sure that you're not harming yourself and you're not harming others. But I do support mental health services for our students because they need them. And we have great programs in our schools right now that do the work. Child Guidance Center is in our buildings, and they do amazing work working with our students who have mental health challenges and issues, and they get to go to them. We have to expand those services across the board in Duval County Public Schools.
What about the issue of ministry counseling in schools? That's something that has been approved and can be
Chaplains in schools.
expanded. Right. But people that perhaps are of a certain faith providing that service as opposed to somebody who is just a straight up mental health counselor. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I reviewed the bill, the chaplain bill, and I'm one of those individuals who truly believe that we should be separated, church and state, right? There should be a separation between church and state, and we should not be forcing religion on anyone. And so, um, I have some concerns with how that's going to be rolled out. It is a new bill, it is a new law, so I don't know how each district will roll it out. But I look forward to really understanding that. But I want to be clear that we should have a separation of church and state, and we should not be forcing any religion on anyone. I remember the conversation when this bill first came up, where there was individuals who said, "Hey, um, they're a part of Satan or whatever that this group is, and they want to be a part and enter into our public schools. So do we deny them but accept others? We have to be fair, and so I have some concerns, and we have to take a look at how that's going to be implemented in our school district and across the state of Florida.
You've participated in a number of debates so far with your colleagues.
I have.
Are there any ones coming up still, or are they done?
I believe that we are all done. We are all done. The last one was held on Friday at the AME Church on Melson Avenue, and so I don't think we have any more going on between now and August the 20th.
And we know, of course, early voting was supposed to start today. It's
It
been
was.
pushed back to Wednesday.
It was supposed to start today, and because Hurricane Debbie, we are now looking at August the 7th, early voting from 10 to 6. So we look forward to everybody going out and voting.
And we should say we did just receive word that the city of Jacksonville and its partners will hold a press briefing to inform the public about preparations for and its response to Hurricane Debbie. So that is coming up um, as well. And hopefully early voting starts apace on Wednesday.
Absolutely. We hope it is back on track on Wednesday and individuals get out and vote. But it's very critical election, and thank you all for covering these school board races because it's going to change. We have 4 seats up: District 1, District 3, District 5, and District 7.
4 of 7.
And it's going to change.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's literally going to change how Duval County Public Schools look over the next several years, depending on who serves.
Hank Rogers, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.